Today we are going to go over the study guide for our quiz on Monday for Chapter 0. If you are an e-learner, please pay attention. You are expected to take your quiz during the time frame where you would actually have geometry. So for example, if you are in my first period geometry class, you should be taking your quiz between 7:40 and 8:31. This is for all of my e-learners. You must take your assessment during that time frame. Remember, all quizzes are open note, so you can use this study guide on your quiz. So let's start with number 1. Evaluate each expression if x is equal to 2, y is equal to -3, and z is equal to 4. We're going to use substitution here. So I'm going to rewrite part A. So I have 6 times y. Instead of y, I'm going to put in -3. Plus, we have x. Well, we know that x is equal to 2 times z. And we know z is equal to 4. Now I'm going to take this and type this right into my calculator. And if I do so, I end up getting -10. All right, part B, I'm going to do the same thing. So I have 6 times z in the numerator. So I'm going to rewrite this as 6 times, well, z is equal to 4, divided by x times y. Well, I know x is 2, and y is -3. Now I want to be careful here. I don't want to just plug this in my calculator, because your calculator will do order of operations and it might mess up your answer. So I want to actually do 6 times 4 first in the numerator and simplify that to 24 divided by 2 times -3, which is -6. Now I can plug this in my calculator if I need to, and we know that this is equal to -4. So scrolling down, we're going to move on to question number 2. Solve each equation. So we have 1-step, 2-step, and multi-step equations here. So for A, h minus 8 is equal to 12. So to get h by itself, I need to add 8 to each side. This cancels out, and h is equal to 20. All right, part B, I want to get rid of this 2/9 in front of the d variable. And to do that, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 2/9 is 9/2. It's really hard to write on this, so I apologize for the bad handwriting, which means I'm going to multiply 10 by 9/2. So these cancel, and d is equal to, in your calculator, you want to plug in 10 times, in parentheses, 9 divided by 2, and you will get 45. All right, part C, I have 1/4 times n plus 5 is equal to 16. We have this 1/4. Normally, if we have a number outside of a parentheses, we would distribute that number inside the parenthesis. However, 1/4 is going to make everything inside the parenthesis a fraction, and we don't really like fractions. So let's think about how I can get rid of a fraction of 1/4. Well, it's just like part B, how we got rid of 2/9, we multiplied by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 1 divided by 4, 1/4, is actually 4/1, or just 4. So I'm going to multiply that by 4 and the 16 by 4. So 4 times 1/4 is 1. That cancels out. And I'm left with n plus 5 is equal to, and 16 times 4 is 64. The last step is to subtract 5 from each side. That cancels, so n is equal to 59. All right, part D. I want to get w by itself, so I need to get my w's on one side and my constants on the other. So the first thing I'm going to do here is subtract w. That cancels, so I'm left with 37 is equal to 4w minus 27. Next, I'm going to add 27. Add 27. So that cancels. So 64 is equal to 4w. Divide by 4. So 16 is equal to w. And I'm done with that problem. Next, we're going to solve the inequalities. So for part A, I want to treat this like an equation, all right? Do the same steps we were doing for question number 2. So to get z by itself, I want to first subtract 15, subtract 15. So I get negative 2z is greater than or equal to negative 11. Next, I'm going to divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. So I have z because those cancel. Now remember, when you divide by a negative, your inequality flips. So now I have to make this a less than or equal to sign. Negative 11 divided by negative 2 is a positive 11 over 2. I get a weird decimal there, so I'm just going to keep it as 11 over 2 for my answer. For part B, I want to get my m's on one side of the inequality and my constants on the other. So the first thing I'm going to do is add m, so that cancels. So 2 is less than or equal to 7m minus 12. Next, I'm going to add 12 to each side. Add 12 to each side. And I have 14 is less than or equal to 7m. I'm then going to divide by 7, divide by 7. Since I'm dividing by a positive, my inequality does not switch. And so I end up getting 2 is less than or equal to m. Or if you want to flip this around, it's m is greater than or equal to 2. Both of these are correct. The last part of the study guide is about radicals. So simplifying these radicals, let's start with part A. So I have the square root of 72. I need to figure out what perfect square is divisible by 72. And if I go through my perfect square numbers, hopefully you have them written down somewhere. I see that 72 is divisible by 36, and the other factor would be 2, so 36 times 2 is equal to 72. So if I rewrite this, the square root of 36 times the square root of 2, well, which one simplifies? The first one. The square root of 36 is 6, and radical 2. That's my answer. And if I plug the square root of 72 in my calculator and 6, the square root of 2 in my calculator, you will get the same number, the same decimal. All right, next, I want to simplify this. If you notice, the square root of 25 and the square root of 4, those are going to be pretty numbers. So what is the square root of 25? It's 5. What is the square root of 4? Well, it's 2. So I'm just going to multiply those together. 5 times 2 is 10. And I'm done. All right, part C, this is our challenge problem. All right, so I have a division problem here. So my first step is to split up the fraction. I have a radical in the denominator. 5 is not divisible by any perfect square, so I need to get rid of that radical in the denominator, and I do that by multiplying by a form of 1, which in this case is going to be the square root of 5 divided by the square root of 5. The reason being is because now if I do the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, I end up getting 5. So in the numerator, I have 128, the square root of 128 times the square root of 5 all over 5. All right. So now I need to simplify my numerator. I'm going to make one large radical. 128 times 5 is 640. and the denominator stays the same. Now I need to look at 640 and say, okay, what perfect square is divisible by 640? There's a couple. You want to find the largest one. So the largest perfect square number that's a factor of 640 is 64. And we know that's 64 times 10. So if I rewrite this, this is going to equal the square root of 64 times the square root of 10 divided by 5. Well, the square root of 64 is really 8. Square root of 10 divided by 5. And that is my final answer, if you can see that. So that is the study guide. Those are all the answers. Watch this video as many times as you need to. The quiz on Monday will look exactly like this, okay? Same types of problems, you know, obviously different numbers, but you can use this study guide on the quiz on Monday. So please do not lose this. Please make sure you have these answers written down and that your binder or folder is very organized for Monday. You have just the class period to finish the quiz. So 50 minutes, that should be plenty of time. We just finished this in 10 minutes. So there should be no issues on finishing this on time. So let me know if you have any questions. Please email me if you want me to explain something in more detail. And good luck.